Hey guys, good evening. It's Dr. Lauren Alvarado here with Restoring Life Chiropractic, and I'm so glad you're joining me tonight for a webinar all about fertility, hormones, and even how to really think about healing your body after loss. And there's several components of each of these topics that we're going to talk about tonight. So I've actually had, I had a request, and actually several requests to do a webinar on this from women in my community. So I'm really excited to talk about it. I help women in our practice every single day with fertility challenges, everything from maybe first-time fertility, secondary fertility issues, even women who aren't pregnant yet, but they have had some signs that they could potentially have some fertility challenges, and also women who have struggled with loss and come out of that season and are looking for some real good advice on how to restore their body so that they can create a healthy baby. So I am excited to chat with you about this. So first off, let's talk about what is fertility challenge. Well, many people think that someone who has a challenge with their fertility cannot get pregnant at all, or maybe has never been pregnant. But actually, some women struggle with secondary and even tertiary fertility issues where they've had baby number 1 or baby number 2, but they've been trying for a long period of time and they haven't been able to conceive again. So I really want to feather that out for a minute and talk about it, because oftentimes there's that misconception. And why would someone be able to conceive at one point in their life and not conceive in another? What changed about that woman's body, or maybe her partner's body? What is causing that? Well, disruption in hormonal balance, but why did that all of a sudden pop up after having a kid? So we'll dive into some of the causes of that, and also just the causes of that initial fertility challenge as well. Maybe you are someone who isn't trying to conceive, but you've struggled with your hormones. This is going to help you too, because we're going to really be talking about hormone disruptors, how your hormone levels can be affected by certain habits in your lifestyle, and how you can really restore your hormonal balance. So fertility challenge can be initially or throughout your fertile life, okay? Now, who suffers from fertility issues? We know that for sure women do, right? Because women are the ones that are conceiving, but it's important to also mention the male counterpart. So we know that the male's hormones and the male's even genetic presentation and things that they may be struggling with can contribute to fertility as well. Men have fertility issues and hormone challenges. And luckily, what I'm covering tonight really does blanket both parties. So whether you're a male or female, or maybe a female and you want to share this information with your partner, this is a really good webinar to share with them, because everything I'm covering is not just female or male, it's both. So what are the causes of fertility issues? Well, we know that there can be things like a cervix that is not in an optimal position, so conception is difficult. So there can be some physical factors, right? We know that there can also be physical factors in the sense of maybe PCOS or endometriosis. And Maria asking if anybody has sound tonight. If you don't have sound on this, make sure you comment below and let me know. And we can start from scratch. So hopefully we're not having a technical difficulty. So back to causes. We know there can be physical causes. Some of those can be things like your body is shaped differently. Your cervix is in a really difficult position. Maybe you don't have enough follicles in your ovary because you have ovarian cysts. Maybe you have PCOS or endometriosis or something like that that's physically affecting your ability to conceive. We know we have that component. But even with the physical components that can happen, that can work against us in our fertility, there's also a lot you can do to optimize your capacity to conceive, giving you the greatest opportunity for conception, even if you do have those things playing against you, okay? So just know that, again, this is blanketed to everyone. So additional causes that can really make your hormones and your fertility struggle. And one of the main ones that I see in my practice, thanks Patricia for confirming that you have sound, awesome. So Maria, you'll probably have to catch the replay, sweetheart, or exit out of your Facebook and jump back in. So one of the main things that I see as a commonality amongst all the women in my practice who struggle with fertility or hormone issues is endocrine disturbers. So disruptors, things that are going to literally disrupt their body's ability to make hormones. Now, oftentimes, whenever women go to see an OBGYN or some fertility specialist, they are given treatment to artificially stimulate their hormones, okay? So let's say your hormones are low on blood work or too high. You can be given medication and artificial hormones, synthetic hormones, in order to try to drive that balance in the body. So when the body's imbalanced, we know that we can force that balance, okay? That's the job of medicine. We can force physiology to balance. But what can you do in your everyday life to bring more balance so that your fertility and your hormones can truly experience more of an equilibrium? So endocrine disturbers are the number one thing that wrecks our hormone levels. And I'm going to break down some of the top endocrine disruptors. Oftentimes you don't get this information from an OB, from a fertility specialist, because they're looking at just solving your problem with giving you medication or artificial hormones to balance your hormones. They don't necessarily look at the other side, okay? The other side is, how are we actually depleting our hormones? How are we messing them up? And how can we correct that so that we can bring our body back into balance naturally? And then once we've done that work, if we still need to, add the supplementation of medication and artificial hormones. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to get at is, let's deal with what's under the surface causing the issues. And then we can always turn to hormone treatment if we need to, which has a wonderful place if need be. But let's not go there first, because then we're not really dealing with what's preventing you from creating a healthy baby in the first place, okay? So back to endocrine disruptors. The women that I see in my practice, we always run through this list of endocrine disruptors to find out if they're hiding in their cabinets, in their food, and their medicine, and all of that. So some of the key things I want you to think about is, number one, how many chemicals are you using in your home and also on your body that could potentially be wrecking your thyroid, causing and wreaking havoc on your ovaries and your uterus and other glands and tissues in your body. So I don't know about you, but I was raised on, Clorox for everything, Ajax for everything, 409, Lysol. But if you are at all not hiding your head in the sand and you're looking up in front of you this day and age, you can see that even at the most popular, big box stores, chemical-free is now a really big topic. One of the reasons is because society is waking up to the fact that chemicals are wrecking not only our hormones, but they are actually the leading cause of cancers in our body, the leading cause of even stress and anxiety. Chemicals are in that top 5 of the causes of disruption of our health and wellness, okay? For instance, let me just give you a few short examples that especially apply to all humans, but let's talk about women. So deodorant, antiperspirants. When they actually biopsy a breast cancer tumor, what they find in the lymph nodes, what they find in the tumor are chemicals that are actually in our everyday household products, as well as, and I'm mentioning what we put in our house, right? But also what we put on our skin. So makeup, deodorants, all of these products that we put on our skin. If you're not living chemical free, you're exposing yourself to these products, and they're finding these products and the byproducts of them being stuck in our bodies in tumors in our breast, also in tumors in our uterus and our ovaries. They're finding these chemicals. They're also finding plastics. They're finding BPA in these tumors. And here's what happens. When we take chemicals into our body, they actually coat the receptor sites for our hormones. So let's say, here's my ovary, and it has receptor sites on it, just for visual purposes, to receive hormones to say, time to ovulate, right? Well, if I have a lot of chemicals in my body, because I haven't really been living a chemical-free life, I don't even know what that really looks like, which I'll tell you in a minute. So the solution to this chemical life is coming up. And so here comes my hormone to get on this receptor site, but this receptor site is coated down and dirty with chemicals. So my hormone can't even talk to my ovaries like it's supposed to. So my ovaries, I am not gonna ovulate. I'm missing my ovulation, or my ovulation is totally off. This happens to women all the time. So what I find is that when we really start to make a change to a chemical-free lifestyle, hormones start to come back into balance. Why is that? Well, your body's really intelligent. It can clean up those receptor sites. You can also do things to clean them up yourself so that your hormones that you're already making can act on those receptor sites like they're supposed to. Your body can ovulate, your body can reach optimal fertility, okay? And not just ovulation, your thyroid, your adrenal glands, your brain, all has receptor sites for hormones, okay? So outside of ovulation, you have a lot of other hormonal control that chemicals can really, really mess up. So first thing, let's solve the chemical issue. Number one, living a chemical-free lifestyle is super, super important. How do you do that? Get all of these cleaning products that we were all raised on pretty much out of your house. They just don't have a place anymore. When you can replace your cleaning products with something natural, and this day and age you absolutely can, then you should. What we use in our household is Thieves household cleaner. It's from Young Living. It has essential oils in it. It cleans everything way better actually than anything I was using with chemicals, and it works for everything. In the studies with Thieves, we even use them on our tables and in our office. They're safe in a medical office, in a chiropractic office, because Thieves, like nothing can live in Thieves, okay? So, and you'll have to do, Google that, Thieves household cleaner, and you'll see how strong it is. So it's amazing. First of all, we save a lot of money with that, okay? So Thieves is really inexpensive compared to normal household cleaners. But we got rid of every single chemical under our sink, and in our kids' bathtub, in our bathtub, and in our home that we're walking on with our bare feet on the hardwood that is getting absorbed into our body, right? And even the chemicals that are being off-gassed, like when you wash your clothes, they get coated down with chemicals, and if you're using Tide and things like that, those have huge endocrine disruptors in them. So choosing a natural laundry detergent option. Again, we use Thieves. You can probably find a really good option as well. If you want information on Thieves, I can give it to you. We have people that get Thieves from our office all the time because they know we have it. So get the chemicals out of your cleaning products. There's no reason you should have them at all. Second, get the chemicals out of your everyday products like your shampoo, your conditioner, your body wash. Again, we go to Young Living for that. You can find your options as well. And then even my makeup. I make sure that my makeup is organic, okay? So that's getting chemicals off of our body, because everything we put on our skin is absorbed into our bloodstream in less than 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's delivered to all of our cells and tissues. So we've got to stop harming ourselves before we actually start detoxing ourselves. Does that make sense? I can tell you how to get these chemicals out of your body, but if you're still putting them on, it doesn't make sense at all. Step one, chemicals out, okay? And actually, we're gonna talk about one more source of chemicals, is food. So we talked about what we put on our body in our house. Next is what you put in your body. So in regards to food and fertility, first off, there's a lot of great resources on food and fertility and certain things you can eat to encourage it and all of that. But bottom line is to really move to an organic diet. So if you have hormone issues, first of all, anybody even without hormone issues should strive to eat organic most of the time, because what does organic mean? Organic means free of chemicals. It's chemical free. There's no harmful chemicals like pesticides on things that are organic. So moving to organic produce can have a great impact on your body's chemical burden. Also organic meats. So you can even get organic meat at like Costco, at Kroger. I get mine from other places as well. If you're interested in sourcing and taking it to the next level, you can. But just in regards to organic, really switching to organic meat. Why? Because again, you don't want to consume meat that is just laden with chemicals, right? And also hormones. So cleaning up your food, you're going to clean up what's in your house, what you put on your body. I know this is a project, right? But you just take one step at a time, and the more you know, the better you do. So you just keep moving and making better and better decisions each time you buy something. Now, if you're like me and you're like all or nothing, I literally went and just swooped it all out, replaced it with my Young Living stuff, and I was like, I'm good to go, done. So if you need the easy button, I can give it to you, but it's really about making decisions on getting chemicals out of your life. So next thing I want to talk about with big chemical or hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors, is hormones. So how do we get artificial hormones in our body that could actually be shutting down our hormonal balance and even affecting our fertility? Well, for most people that struggle with fertility, it comes from a history of birth control. So birth control is one of those things that we're just taught as young women to get on. If you're going to be sexually active and you don't want to ruin your chance at having a career, you're supposed to take birth control, right? If you have bad cramps, you're supposed to take birth control. If you're in a bad mood when you're on your period, you're supposed to take birth control. I mean, seriously, if I even had an OB tell me, if you don't want to get breast cancer, you need to take birth control. And I was like, dude, no. So first of all, most of us have a history of birth control. I do too. But, and even though maybe it helped you through a season, no shame game, right? Because I took it too. Birth control is artificial hormone. So here's what happens. Anytime that you take a hormone into your body, what happens is there's this feedback loop that happens in your body. When you take that hormone in, your brain gets a signal that you have enough and it doesn't need to make any more. So it actually starts to create a negative impact on your true organic ability to make your own hormones, because now your body is getting that message daily, right? Or if you have an IUD, for sure daily. If you're taking a pill, whenever you're taking it, it's getting the message, hey, I have enough of these hormones, I don't need to make them. So literally your body can get rusty at making those hormones. So what I find is that most women need to do some type of hormone detox, birth control detox. Whenever we take in hormones, they can actually stay in our cells and tissues and in our liver, and they can prevent us from making the hormones like we should be making, right? Because our body thinks we still have enough. Even though it's not using it anymore, it's still in our cells and tissues, and it's still getting signals saying that we have enough. So what I'd love you to do if you've never done it is to research how to detox from birth control, okay? So just clicking back a second and talking about what we've talked about so far. Endocrine disruptors, things that will wreck your hormones. Chemicals in your home, chemicals on your body. They coat your receptor sites, they wreck your body's ability to actually get the communication from the hormone to the receptor site so that your body can work correctly. Other thing, get chemicals out of your food. So organic sourcing your food and making sure that your meat is organic so you're not getting a bunch of extra antibiotics and stuff from that. Now, here we are talking about birth control because that is another issue. So birth control, we need to detox that as well as we need to detox our home, our food, and what goes on our skin that gets in our bloodstream. So how do you detox from birth control? Well, biggest thing I can recommend as a no-brainer thing that's not complicated is doing a juice cleanse, okay? So there's many juice cleanses on the market. You can look up a resource online, and I'm going to put one in the comments here when we're done, where you can order an organic juice cleanse that is actually meant to wash all that stuff out of your cells and tissues. So it includes like green juices, some activated charcoal, and I always tell mamas or women that are wanting to become mothers and struggling after being on birth control for 13 years and struggling with infertility, that we really need to detox the body. So doing that juice cleanse is amazing. It's a really good reset for your body. If you've never detoxed from birth control and you were on it for a long time, even if you weren't on it for a long time, I would suggest maybe doing 2 to 3 of those. Do a juice cleanse once a month. It's a week-long juice cleanse is the one that I recommend, and that will truly reset your body. The other thing is I get an organic green food powder from Sprouts. I like Garden of Life. There's other brands as well. You might have your own and your favorite. And using that organic green powder in like a glass or a even plastic shaker bottle with ice and chugging that down will actually help to just flush your body on a daily basis. So just like somebody might make protein shakes part of their everyday life, making a green food organic detox flush part of your life every single day is something super easy you can do to keep your inflammation low, get the toxins and built up hormones out of your system, and just in general detox your cells and tissues and give you lots of vitamins and minerals, okay? So that's my little birth control thing, okay? Now, next what we're gonna talk about is emotional stress, okay? So there's a few components left. The 2 main ones that are left, we talked about chemical stress this whole first part of this webinar, so make sure that you've got that down. But there's 2 more forms of stress that happen to the body, and one is emotional and the next is physical, and both of those things can have a huge impact on fertility and hormones, okay? So emotional stress, what in the heck would that have to do with conception? Well, I mean, you can kind of figure out that if your body's super stressed, maybe your hormones won't be optimal, but let's actually link it up scientifically, okay? So your body, stress hormones and sex hormones have very similar building blocks. They need to have nutrients, they need to have these amino acids, they need to have these building blocks for hormones, right? They're both hormones, stress hormones and sex hormones. Well, let me ask you this. If I've got 10 perfectly little building blocks to contribute towards my hormones today, and we're giving a silly example here, but if I have 10 little building blocks to say, okay, body, make the hormones you want to make, and I am wired up in full force into my sympathetic nervous system, into the stressed out part of my brain, then where do you think those stress hormones are gonna, or those, exactly, I just gave you the answer, those building blocks are gonna go? They're not gonna go to sex hormones, they're gonna go to stress hormones, because my body is stressed, my mind is stressed, maybe my life is super stressful, I'm not handling it well. And so whenever you are stressed, it can absolutely have a direct link to your hormone production. Google it, right? It's there, I promise. The more stressed you are, the more cortisol hormones you make, which is your stress hormones, and the less good sex hormones you're gonna make, okay? So let me give one more example, and this actually happens in pregnancy. So in pregnancy, a mother that is super stressed when she's pregnant, there is something called the cortisol steal syndrome, and that is when a mom's super stressed and she'll even steal her baby's hormones from the fetus, put it into the bloodstream so the mom can keep making and keep up and make all the cortisol she needs to make. So just like your body could actually steal hormones from your baby, your body can steal hormones from your sex hormones, okay? The other thing is, if we don't break the cycle of stress within the body, then we cannot set ourselves up to make enough sex hormones and actually have balanced hormones. So the next thing to talk about, well, first of all, things to really help with emotional stress, obviously, meditating, praying, changing your lifestyle, changing your life, maybe even making some hard decisions. I heard a saying the other day, I think I've repeated it twice because I just find it funny and I love it. And it was like on Instagram, and it said, did you know you can actually unfriend people in real life, right? Like, yeah. So get away from all of the stress, okay? You deserve to be happy, and draw the line in your life and create what you want it to be. Create that positivity and be around people that are uplifting and loving and supporting. So you can get your emotional health in check in some ways with that, right? But the next thing to really talk about is the physical component of fertility and hormone challenges, which you, I promise, probably have not thought of at all. And that's really where chiropractic comes into play, and why there's a running joke that I hear all the time, and it's pretty funny. Women will tell my husband, we joke about it in my office, they'll be like, Dr. Eric, you got me pregnant. I'm pregnant now. And we're like, what? Dr. Eric got you pregnant? Oh, wait, no. The adjustment got you pregnant, right? Chiropractic got you pregnant. And so there's this ongoing joke in chiropractic that women literally get pregnant from chiropractic care. So I really want to tell you, why does that even happen? And it happens so much. Like, we have women in our practice who have spent $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 on IVF. They've done all the things, right? And they still cannot conceive. And after getting chiropractic care, boom, they're pregnant. So a few things to walk you through. First of all, I want to tell you what part of your body actually controls the organs. This is my little baby spine. My big one's over there, but too much to hold up here, okay? So what part of your body actually controls your organs right here, and actually communicates to them to tell your body when to ovulate, to tell your pelvic floor to be strong and hold that baby in, to actually tell your placenta how much blood flow it needs? There's this communication system that actually orchestrates the creation of life and the sustainability of life, and that system is your nervous system, okay? So the nervous system consists of your brain, your spinal cord, and all the nerves that exit on both sides of your spine. You have 31 pairs of nerves. And these nerves, specifically in your low back and in your pelvis, they actually go to innervate, to communicate to the organs in charge of fertility. So your ovaries, your uterus, if you are pregnant, your placenta, your pelvic floor, and even a plexus of nerves down here that truly controls the balance that your body has to have hormonally in order to conceive. So the way that this happens is your brain actually sends the signal down through your spinal cord, through the nerves to the organs to tell them how to work. Your nervous system even tells your heart how to beat, your stomach how to digest, your lungs how to expand, and it controls conception and hormones as well. So what we find in women when they come into our office struggling with fertility, the first thing we want to do is look at, is there any block in communication here? Is there any block in the brain's ability to communicate to the actual organs in charge of fertility? And in every single case, we find that there is major stress in the area of the spine that controls fertility, okay? So we will find in the lumbar spine and also in the sacrum that there's stress in those nerves, and that the communication between the brain and the body is just not cohesive, it's not coherent, it's not happening like it should happen. And so when we do our neurological scans and we look for stress in the nervous system that we can actually change, we want to measure how much stress is in the nervous system, how much is it affecting the body, and then what we can do about it. We often find that that stress in those areas is just off the chart. And then the second area that we find is the nerves that control our body's stress response, right? Because if we have too much stress hormones, we don't make enough sex hormones. So we find that the stress part of the nervous system is in complete overdrive. It's running the show. We find the part of the nervous system that controls fertility, not just locally talking to those organs to tell them how to work, but even full on neurology, how the brain's functioning in its ability to communicate conception. We find that there's disruption in that pathway or in those pathways. And so then that's really what chiropractic is about. Most people think chiropractic is about neck and back pain and things like that. Now, we knock that stuff out of the park because that's just the low-hanging fruit, right? But where chiropractic really excels and really succeeds at changing lives is getting someone's neurology back on track so that their full body function, whether it be someone with asthma, whether it be a woman who's struggling with fertility, when we de-stress the nervous system, the body is then allowed to do what it is intended and created to do. And I just want to tell you that you were created as a woman to be able to create life. And one of the greatest challenges that I see with women who are struggling with something like this is shame is one big factor, right? The other factor is not enough information. They don't really know truly what controls their fertility and their hormones, and then they don't really know what they can do about it, okay? So they don't understand their body is number two. The third thing, they don't understand what they can do about it. And I want to put the power back in your hands and say, listen, yes, you may need fertility care and treatment in the sense of hormone replacement. You may need that, okay? I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or that you won't need it. But what I am saying is to give your body the best chance to truly create what I like to refer to as a fertile soil. If you think about getting pregnant is like planting a little seed in the soil and then you want to watch it grow. If your body is that soil, you need to think about, am I creating a fertile soil or not? If you're thinking, I'm drinking coffee all day, I'm eating Doritos, I'm not sleeping, I'm super stressed, I'm putting chemicals on my body, I'm using chemicals in my home, but I'm doing IVF, then something is wrong, right? So we want to take a step back and we want to look at all the steps to creating a healthy soil so that you can not only create life, but have the best opportunity to sustain life, okay? So let's walk back through from A to Z how we're gonna do this. And if you're watching this at the end and you're live right now, just know that we just covered it. Don't panic. You can go back and watch the replay, okay? So don't freak out when I'm telling you what to do and you didn't get the details. So number one, we really want to have a chemical-free home. No chemicals on the body, no chemicals in the home, okay? And there's super easy buttons on how to do that. I use Young Living to do that. I can help you with that easy button if you want it. You're welcome to do your own research and figure out chemical-free and what that looks like for you as well. I recommend the easy button. It's just easy. The name of your body is going to be your food and what you're drinking. You really need to have a chemical-free, organic type of diet so that you're not putting stuff in your body that's going to hurt your hormones and decrease your hormone production or block your hormones altogether. Number four, other hormone disruptors are things like birth control. If you've ever been on it, it's okay, no shame, but you need to detox off your birth control. Even if you haven't taken it in years and years, you still need to push all the hormonal residues out of your body. I recommended a juice cleanse and just a daily habit of detox, which includes eating good and using some organic green food to constantly flush your body. You'll feel a huge, huge difference with that, okay? Next step is emotional stress. We know if we have tons of emotional stress, we can only make stress hormones and sex hormones, right? Two main hormones. If we only have 10 little blocks, we got to choose where we're sending it. If we're predominantly locked down in stress mode, then those building blocks don't get sent to the sex hormone factory, so we don't have enough, okay? So decrease stress in your life and do all the good things to do that. And lastly, physical stress. Physical stress is something that we usually don't think about, and that is stress in the actual nerves and in your spine that communicate to your organs to tell them what to do. Your brain and the extension of your brain, which is your brainstem and your spinal cord and your nerves, are literally what makes your heart beat, stomach digest, organs work, hormones work. If there's stress in that system, there's no way you can reach a true homeostasis with your hormones or anything else. So we do scans in our office to help people truly figure out if there is stress in their nervous system, what they can do about it so that they can get not just their fertility, but their long-term health and wellness on track, okay? So let me take a deep breath. That was a lot of information. I do want to let you know that I want to be a resource to you and let you know that, again, with all that, I'm really just putting the power back into your hands to say there's so much you can do to support your health and wellness and hormone balance naturally, and that we're here to support you. If you are a mom that has struggled with miscarriage and you want to know how to heal your body so that you can maybe get off that repetitive cycle if you've struggled with several miscarriages in a row, or if you've maybe only struggled with one miscarriage, know that all these steps apply, okay? All these steps apply, but a few things that you want to consider. Number one, you need to be in a support group for miscarriage. I don't care if you miscarried when you were 3 weeks pregnant or when you miscarried later on. Oftentimes women who miscarriage early, again, we have that shame factor, and why should I? It's not really acceptable to maybe be this emotional about it because I didn't miscarry later on. Nobody really knew. I want to tell you, like, you have got to take care of your heart, and you need to really dig into some support groups for that. So having best friends that you can talk to, also talking to other birth professionals. Most midwives and most birth centers have really great resources on miscarriage recovery groups, okay? So if you need a miscarriage recovery group, I want you to comment on this video and I will send you the information because I want to make sure you have that resource. The other thing is, if you've struggled with miscarriage, so that's taking care of your emotional body. Taking care of your physical body is mainly everything that I covered in this specific webinar. So in order to truly push the reset button on your physical health, because oftentimes when a woman is miscarried and maybe they're even pregnant and they're sitting here in my office visiting with me, they have fear of it happening again, right? So anytime you've struggled with miscarriage, you have to ask your body kind of all the questions we just went through. Do you have a chemical-free life? What are some of the contributing factors to hormone disruption? How could that have played out for you? And how can you just clean that up to give your body the best opportunity, okay? The other thing I want you to do is don't ignore that there could be a hormonal imbalance, a genetic factor that's significant that you should have checked out. So I always recommend that all moms get tested for MTFHR. That is a gene mutation. There's a few different variations of it. But MTFHR, which let me repeat it slowly because maybe you have not heard of it before. So M as in Mary, if you're writing this down, T as in Thomas, F as in fertility, H as in Harry, and then R as in ray of sunshine, okay? So MTFHR. This is a genetic mutation that many of us have because of all the folic acid in all of our food, and there's this imbalance in our body's ability to be able to break down B vitamins. And B vitamins are what actually protect the baby and the neural tube, okay? So the brain and spinal cord formation. And a lot of times the reason why we have a miscarriage is because there's actually a malformation, and because of that, the life wasn't viable, unfortunately. So MTFHR is a genetic mutation that is super duper common that you should all be tested for, because it will prevent you from breaking down your B vitamins and using them to protect your baby's neural tube, the brain and spinal cord formation. So one thing, make sure that you're on a methylated B vitamin in active form. If you literally just Google that, methylated B vitamins, you'll find some that are methylated. You can even grab some on Amazon. Always research the brand that you're using. And you can always ask a birth professional what brand they suggest. I can make sure I drop one in the comments here. But the other thing is just getting tested for it, because I, believe it or not, have had a mom in my practice who had like 9 miscarriages before she was ever tested for MTFHR. And she ended up being like in her early 40s, didn't conceive through her 20s and 30s. She finally was tested. They found out she had it. They supplemented her with enough B vitamins and she was able to have, her little miracle baby. So just know, if you've struggled with miscarriage, we need to take care of the emotional component. We need to create a healthy soil for a baby to be able to really grow and sprout, right? We need to create a fertile soil in your body, which is this webinar. But then next, also make sure you have some of those key metrics and things, genetic factors, checked with I would recommend a midwife. Not that I'm not pro OBGYN, I totally am. I just find that midwives are pretty thorough in our area. We have some great midwives in our area, and they're very thorough. They do a great job. They make a lot of personal connections and build relationship with you, and they can help you a lot with nutritional advice and natural things you can do as well, okay? And lastly, I just want to let you know that, again, I'm here as a resource to you. I love helping women through challenges that they've had, whether it be hormones, fertility, miscarriage, or even other things like chronic fatigue and pain and headaches and just not feeling themselves. So if you need someone to just take a thorough look at your nervous system, at your body, at your health history, and help point out some things that might be happening and get you back on track, I'm 100% here to walk that out with you, here to support you, and I really hope to just serve as a guide to you on this journey so that you can walk out of this phase of struggle and really into what you want for your life, what you want for your hormones, but also to conceive that precious little baby because there's no greater gift. You know, I'm a mama of 3, and my heart goes out to women who struggle with hormone balance and also struggle with fertility, because I just can't imagine. But what I know is that I see women in my office every single day that walk out of that struggle and really walk into motherhood. So I'm here for you. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I know this was kind of a late night webinar, a little bit long-winded, but there's a lot of information to cover. Make sure you watch the replay. Make sure you tag your friends. Make sure you PM me if you have any questions or need anything. And this will be up on our YouTube as well in the next few days. And we'll be sending it out to everybody that needs it. So love you guys. Have a good night. Bye.